Welcome to MEDMEN. My name is Pim. This is Andy, and in this episode we are talking about 3DC or three-dimensional decision criteria. So Andy, what is it?
What is it? Because the thing is, most people, when they think about decision criteria, they think about just what we would class as the technical decision criteria. You know, the feeds and the speeds, those types of, the bells and whistles, the UI, the languages, the integrations. Obviously,
Still important, right?
Yeah, typically we're selling technical solutions, so it's of course important. But it's more from a technical validation perspective. You know, we are looking at the decision criteria to kind of, in that perspective, to kind of set ourselves apart from our competition, from a perspective of our solution is better technically and more suited to your needs than theirs. So of course, it is not just important, it's critically important. But just by focusing on the technical decision criteria, you overlook two extremely important areas of decision criteria. First, the economic, which isn't just how much does it cost. It, of course, relates to cost. It relates to things around cost, such as, are we talking CapEx, capital expenditure, operating expenditure, OpEx? Are we talking about what sort of contract duration? We're talking about how does this play into a broader business case? Business case and all of those kind of ROI and things come back into the economic decision criteria. So those are really important things, not just cost. Then there is the relationship decision criteria. And this one's often overlooked. And this is the one really that it's hard to make tangible because it's very much a sort of a feeling that the customer will have. Like it's where the trust lies is in relationship decision criteria. Do they feel like that you're going to be a good partner of theirs? Do they feel like your vision's aligned? Do you feel like that, they can see themselves having a great relationship with you? But it does fall into things like references. It falls into things like referrals. It falls into things like the Gartners of the world.
Market reputation.
Reputation, yeah. So those types of things fall into it as well. So they are very, very important. And, we have actually made decisions based on relationship decision criteria, not just to buy, but I think, we made a decision recently to change one of our main software platforms we use across the whole business based on relationship decision criteria. Technically, it was okay, but we just didn't feel like they're a partner of ours compared to the new vendor that we were looking to work with. So they are all very, very important.
Yeah, and I think getting beyond just the technical decision criteria and approaching it in a three-dimensional way, which is why we're saying, 3DC, that's a superpower for salespeople and go-to-market teams today because the majority of our industry stays at the technical level and kind of touches into the other two categories sometimes, but not in a proactive and deliberate way, right? They're not all over it and are making sure that they align on it with their prospective customers to ultimately lock in the right partnerships and create the results that are possible for them.
Yeah, and it can be so important to use decision criteria to broaden the influence of your deal with other stakeholders. So I'll give you a great example. Let's say you have two identical security vendors, right? They are, they both they overlap on the Gartner quadrant. They have the same test results. All that kind of stuff is identical, but one of the vendors has proactively, when engaging with the customer, said, "We noticed that you are a major AWS house. And would you be interested, therefore, in procuring our product on the AWS marketplace?" Now that falls under economic decision criteria. It also sort of falls under relationship decision criteria because it's saying we have a relationship with AWS, so do you. It means our interests kind of align there. Yeah. But the economics of it means that there's, as we know, tons of benefits for all parties in procuring through the AWS marketplace. So in that situation, there are two examples there of where we have differentiated ourselves. We've already said we've got identical solutions, but now we have differentiated ourselves. Now, if you think about if the other vendor also works with AWS and is also available on the AWS marketplace, then you would say, well, they're even. But no, because relationship, like I said earlier, it's less tangible. So if they just go, oh, yeah, we can do that as well, you've not led with it. You've not got, they've not come in and said, hey, fancy doing this. This is a win for you.
It's a very big difference.
Yeah, and it just feels like you're the right kind of partner for us. Yeah. And here's the thing main point I was going to get at is that typically, if that's the case, that say they're an AWS house or they're a Google house or they're a Microsoft house or you might have investments in all three, hyperscalers, there'll be somebody in that business who is what we like to call the cloud champion, right? Someone who is very invested in their cloud committed spend. And so if you can find that person, you've just unlocked a new champion who is likely, by virtue of having those relationships with those hyperscalers, likely to have influence for the rest of the business. And so they can be, if nothing else, a coach to help you get the insights and help open some doors that may otherwise stay shut.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because by way of approaching decision criteria in 3 categories, anyone can do this. Like it can be a real game changer for you this year. Like if you look at your best deals from last year and you use this as a lens, you're like, okay, when we won deals, when we were successful, what were the technical decision criteria putting us into that position, right? The reason as to why customers bought our solution from a technical point of view. Let's double down on them. But then get beyond it and getting clarity on like, hey, what are some of the other things that we should proactively drive in the sales cycles, in the opportunities that we see this year? And not just from a sales perspective. You can even like start doing this on your website, right? We always say MEDDICC, a common language for the full go-to-market team across the full customer life cycle. So make it very simple. Start writing down for yourself, like what are the things that sit in those 3 categories for my organization so that we can start doing this. It's not rocket science, it's a matter of doing it.
Yeah, and last thing just to build on that is it's not all positive. If you've got some things in your solution that are perhaps lacking, worst case scenario, use the decision criteria to say, actually, this prospect is going to need that. We don't have it. There's no point us pursuing this opportunity if we're going to get to the end and just lose, right? Or at least explore whether there is a way of still becoming partnered with the customer without that part that they need, right? So, and also, by identifying early on where your gaps may be, where your weaknesses might be, you can quickly find an alternative, a solution. It may be that just you see things differently. You might have a different perspective of how your solution should do things that is different from what you've uncovered to be the customer's decision criteria. But being proactive, again, is what's going to help you out there. Cheers, Pim.
Here's to 3-dimensional decision criteria.
And 3-dimensional whiskey.
Cheers.
Cheers.